Anxiety is not your enemy, but before we jump in, let me start with this so there's no confusion. I am not a medical professional. I am not telling anybody to stop medication or ignore professional help in any way. That is always a conversation between you and your doctor. What I am is somebody who's lived with anxiety for decades, and not occasionally, but constantly. And then eventually I got to a point where I decided I needed it to stop running my life because I overthought everything. I lived constantly in anticipation mode, like constantly thinking that something bad was going to happen. I was always felt like I was bracing for impact. I tried therapy, I tried medication, I tried techniques. Some of it helped temporarily, but nothing really ever helped me long term until I decided to really dig into myself and make shifts in the way that I lived my life and what I actually wanted out of it. Now, the real shift didn't come from me managing my anxiety better because I would always fight my anxiety. Like I thought it was something bad that I was trying to get rid of. Where my shift came from is where I started to understand anxiety and where it was coming from. Now, the first thing you need to hear that I needed to learn is this: you are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you. Anxiety doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just something that you're dealing with. If you deal with anxiety, you know that it usually means that you're always thinking ahead, right? You anticipate, you analyze, you look for the patterns, right, that you're trying to get involved or avoid. That's not a flaw. If you really, really think about it, that's not a flaw. It's just how your brain tries to protect you from circumstances or things that it thinks are dangerous. Anxiety exists to keep you safe by anticipating danger. That is a scientific fact. The problem is this: our brains cannot tell the difference between an actual real threat or something that we're just imagining that's in the future. It actually thinks they're the same thing. Again, scientifically proven. So when anxiety does show up a lot, for me it showed up all the time, like I had it for over 30 years, what's really happening is really simple. It's our mind, my mind at the time, was constantly living in the future. You're trying to what? You're trying to control something that hasn't even happened yet. And then we create these scenarios that make it even worse. That's where ruminating thoughts come from. Now, rumination comes and happens because your brain believes that if it keeps thinking so much that it's going to equal safety. So it keeps on replaying, analyzing, and running the same scenarios over and over and over again. I got to tell you, it was so exhausting for me because the scenarios weren't even different. Some of them had little tweaks here and there, but I would literally loop them over and over and over again. And if you've experienced it, you know exactly what I'm talking about because it is exhausting. Now, here's the trap in this: you cannot think your way into certainty. All that does is lock you into a future that does not exist, and it doesn't matter how much you're thinking about it, you know it's not going to come to fruition. It's not going to become your actual future. Now, this is the exact part that changed absolutely everything for me in my life that I'm going to share with you right now. I realized that anxiety is not random. It is a loop. That's why it was constant for me, and it was always the same loop. So I'm going to break down this loop for you, and once you can find where you are in the loop and interrupt that loop, you're going to be able to create a new one, and that's going to help you mitigate that anxiety, where you can actually start using it to your benefit. More on that later. So here it is. Here's the loop. You have your thoughts. Your thoughts influence your choices and your decisions throughout the course of the day. Those thoughts will create them. Whether they're positive decisions or negative decisions is based on that thought. Those decisions then become your behaviors, which is how you show up and how you interact with life and other people around you. Those behaviors completely and 100% dictate the experience you have. And it doesn't matter what the experience is. Those steps, again, your thoughts turning into your decisions, turning into behaviors, turning into experiences, is exactly what's happening. Now, we're not done yet because those experiences turn into what? They create emotions. Sometimes it's a happy, great emotion. Sometimes it's a sad emotion, right? So it's a lot of bouncing up and down. Now, those emotions, there's one more step, feed right back into the thoughts, which is what actually starts the loop. And there it is. It's really that simple. Now, once you see it, something, and feel it, something is going to click inside of you. Now, you don't break anxiety by fighting the emotions. You're not going to win by fighting your emotions. All you can do is observe your emotions. You break it by changing how you think, even when it's uncomfortable. Now, those are really easy words. It's not like I came to that realization and instantly had my anxiety go away. That's not what I'm telling you at all. What I'm telling you is that learning to control your thoughts will make an immediate impact long term for the rest of your life. That's what I had to learn, is how do I actually control these thoughts. Now, before I keep going, I want to pause here for a second because this ties directly into what we're talking about. Now, a lot of people do not actually struggle with anxiety because they don't know what to do or they haven't tried hard enough. They struggle because there's something internal that's actually blocking that shift. So there's a pattern that's underlying that keeps driving those same exact thoughts that I was just talking about that turn into your decisions, that turn into your experiences through the behaviors, etc. That's the part that people rarely talk about. They don't go to the underlying, they only try to manage the symptom, right? Instead of actually going to what the cause is. Now, I have a service that I always reserve to my coaching clients. I called it the internal clarity session. It's something that I originally only offered to them, but now I've opened it up to anybody and everybody because this same block that you have is going to show up everywhere in your life. In your anxiety, in your anxiousness, in your confidence, in your motivation, and the repeating patterns that you have. So what I do in this session is we identify what's actually stopping you, not at the surface level, but at the decision level, so that you finally stop looping and start moving forward. Now, if this is hitting for you, the link is going to be in the description. All right, let's get back to this. So here's how I actually applied this to my own life and helped countless people do it, and you can do it too. First, you have to understand that anxiety lives in the future. Reality only exists right now. If something is not happening right now, your body doesn't need to react to it right now. Why is your body reacting to something that's not real? Think about that for a second. So when anxiety starts to hit, what I started to do is I stopped trying to calm myself down. And I focused on grounding myself. Because let's be real, if you're having a panic attack or you have a high level of anxiety, how hard is it to really calm yourself down? It's almost impossible. So take a different approach. Focus on grounding yourself. Put your feet on the floor. Breathe slower. Pay attention to the way that you're breathing. Eyes focused on things that are in the room. Start naming things that you see in the room. That's how you're taking yourself from the future state into the current state that you're actually in. But you're not doing that to feel better, just to come back to right now. That's the goal, to be present as much as you possibly can. That one thing alone will absolutely interrupt the loop, which is exactly what you're trying to do. The second thing, I stopped calling myself an anxious person. I stopped saying and identifying myself as somebody with anxiety, because that put me in a completely different category of people in my mind, right? Because I saw normal people and then I saw people like me that had a ton of anxiety. And I realized, wait a minute, there's actually no difference between me and these other people. So I stopped calling myself an anxious person. That label, all it's doing is quietly reinforcing anxiety every single day. So now what I look at it is I experience anxiety sometimes. I am not anxiety. I am not an anxious person. It is no longer who I am. I experience anxiety just like everybody else on the planet does. Now that shift softened it so much for me, way more than I expected. Third thing, I stopped chasing reassurance and I started building confidence. You know what I mean by reassurance. I don't think I need to get into that, but you need to stop looking for that, especially from outside people. And stop ruminating, because that's what you're looking for in that reassurance in the future. Reassurance fades fast. Confidence, though, compounds and keeps on growing. Confidence is not believing nothing bad will ever happen to you. That's not what we're talking about. If anybody says that to you, no, bad shit happens all the time. What confidence is, it's trusting that if something does happen that's bad, you're going to handle it. And how do you know that? Because you've handled it your entire life and you're still here and you're watching this video right now. That belief dismantled half of my anxiety right there. When I started really writing out, and it wasn't journaling, it was proof for myself that I've done it before and I can easily do it again. writing out the ways that I thought I was really anxious about something, and then literally laughing at myself. I can't believe how stressed I was about that thing, and then nothing even close and remotely near it actually happened. Fourth, I changed the questions that I started asking myself. So instead of asking questions like, what if this goes wrong? I changed it to, if this does go wrong, can I deal with it? Yes. How did I deal with it before? I can do it again now. Almost every single time, the answer was simply, yes, I can deal with this. That changes, remember back to that loop, the decision, which changes the behavior, which changes the experience, which changes the emotion, which feeds right back into, not the old thoughts, you just created a new thought for the rest of that loop to continue. And that's how the loop breaks. Fifth part is grounding physically. This is something that I believe in wholeheartedly because anxiety pulls you in here, right? It pulls you into your head. Grounding brings you back into your body. That's where you want to be. Hands together, rubbing them, feeling your fingers, feeling hair somewhere on your body, rubbing your neck, feet planted on the ground, naming what's actually happening right here, right now. Not feeling it, just saying out loud what it is. Whatever stress it is that you're saying, name it. That tells your nervous system that you're safe in this moment. Do you know why you're safe? It's tricking and hacking your nervous system because you can't be threatened about something that you're talking about and identifying with. Because again, it's not in the future, it's in this state saying, you know what, it's nothing I really need to think about. Now again, I lived with anxiety for decades, and a lot of times that turned into depression. And the shift didn't come because anxiety disappeared. I'm not here to tell you it's going to disappear. It's not. My anxiety is still with me. It came because I stopped letting it define who I was as a person. I built trust in myself. So now if something that makes me anxious pops up, I don't feel it the same way. It's not taking over. It's really just a warning system for me to say, hold on, I need to look at this in a different perspective because the way it showed up initially, back to my thoughts, the way it showed up initially is not actually who I am. I learned how to interrupt the loop at the level of thought. That's what we're talking about. That's what you can absolutely do. It's redirecting your thought. Look at it from this perspective. You're going to think anyway. You're going to have thoughts. You can't stop them. Do you want to put your energy into something that's just reliving and going absolutely nowhere, or something that's actually productive? That's how I got anxiety to stop running my life, and everything in my life started getting better because of it. Now listen, again, the anxiety still shows up sometimes, but it does not control me. It doesn't define me. It's not making me do things I don't want to do. Anxiety doesn't mean, again, something is wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Stop listening to people that think you are. Stop feeling like you are. It simply means you're fucking human. Be human. Feel it. Don't run from anxiety. Try using it to your benefit, because most people experience anxiety at some point in their life. Learn to manage it the way that we're talking about. Many experiencing it really, really deeply. So I had anxiety at a core level. But listen, suffering, because that's what I was living with, does not have to be permanent. What I learned over time by following these steps that I just covered in this video is that it doesn't have to be permanent. It's something that's fleeting, just like a thought. You do not need to erase anxiety. Stop thinking that's what you're trying to do. You don't need to fear it. You don't need to run from it. You don't need to feel like, oh my God, here comes anxiety. You just need to stop living in the future that it hasn't happened yet, and start trusting the person who's going to handle no matter what comes up. Now, again, if this resonated with you and you want help identifying that block that's underneath your anxiety that's causing these repeating patterns, you can check out the internal clarity session. The link's going to be in the description, or you can go visit the website to learn a little bit more. So stay calm, stay positive, follow those steps, use anxiety to your benefit, and watch your life change.